As you guys know, recently I've been trying to master Brazilian Portuguese, and to do so, I've put together a guide where I break my study strategy into 4 pillars, and I'll be sharing it in this video. So first things first, I plan to speak to myself for at least 15 minutes every single day. This is basically to get me comfortable speaking and comfortable constructing ideas in my own head. Now, obviously the main goal is to be able to speak to people at some point, but in the first instance, it's absolutely fine to speak to yourself. Even when you get comfortable speaking in the language, it's always a good idea to sharpen your pencil by speaking to yourself every now and again. How this works is pretty simple. Set up a camera and record yourself speaking, or you can speak into your voice notes every day for 15 minutes uninterrupted. At first, 15 minutes may seem like an eternity because you have limited vocab and you can't really express ideas, but once you get used to it, the time will fly like this. Now, speaking to yourself on a daily basis is a good way to build confidence when speaking about pertinent topics of interest. So if you'd like to try this method and you're pressed for time, one quick hack is to record yourself in your voice notes whilst in the shower, but this only works if you have waterproof headphones. Now, if it just feels too weird speaking to yourself, you can always use language learning apps like Pimsleur, which forces you to listen and repeat sentences like I'm doing in this video, which you can find up here. Now, the second pillar for my Portuguese study guide is to study the language with a textbook for at least 30 minutes each day. As shown, I'll be using the complete Brazilian Portuguese textbook and doing random exercises online like this one on verbalgata.com. This tests your comprehension of conjugation in different tenses and/or modes, and it's really useful to use when you're on the move. I'll also be reviewing YouTube lessons that relate to particular topics of interest. So for example, if I want to recap on how to structure if-then sentences, I'll find a video on YouTube which discusses that. Or if I want to talk about the past and express doubt, I'll also search a video discussing that topic. YouTube is literally a goldmine of information. I'll link some interesting videos down in the description below that are especially useful to beginners. Now, if I don't feel like actively studying, I'll simply read a book for the allotted 30-minute time frame. All, of course, while taking notes on the things that I can't quite comprehend. One more thing that I'll be incorporating into my active study plan is the use of flashcards 2 to 3 times a week. This is to cement vocabulary into my brain. Now, before moving on to the third pillar, if you're liking this video, please give it a thumbs up. So the third pillar will involve consuming as much Brazilian stuff as humanly possible. What I mean by that is shows on Netflix, Brazilian content, and Brazilian music. I can't lie, I already have a few Brazilian songs committed to memory, and I intend on having a few more. Shout out to MC Brinquedo. And I'm aware that the language used in the music that I listen to perhaps isn't the most politically correct or the most appropriate for day-to-day speak, but nonetheless, I enjoy it, and it lets me know how inner city people speak in places like Rio and Sao Paulo, places of course that I intend to visit. Now, this pillar in particular is the least intense, as I'll be consuming content in a very passive fashion. Yes, of course, I may watch shows with subtitles on, but I'm not studying the show. Yes, of course, you can pause a show after every scene if you don't understand a word or a phrase and research it, but I prefer to watch it in a more seamless fashion and try to understand words in context. Now, if I absolutely cannot understand something, then of course I'm going to stop it. But 9 times out of 10, I'm just going to let it run and then understand that word or particular phrase in greater context. Now, the final pillar that I'm going to focus on to level up on meu português is to speak with Brazilian natives here in London. Thankfully, London's full of Brazilians and I'm not shy. So the plan is to speak with native Brazilians at least 3 times a week in real life. In addition to that, I'll be taking classes on italki with professors from different regions in Brazil. This is so that I get comfortable with listening to different accents and to understand different ways of speaking. So having structured classes on italki and impromptu conversations in real life is going to give me the exposure to the language that I need to level up. Now, if you've made it this far, you're probably wondering, how are you going to fit all of this into your day? This is exactly how. As you can see, this is an example of my calendar for the upcoming week. Here, I've got all the things that I mentioned previously perfectly assigned to a time slot in a day. Personally, I like Asana, but you can use other software like Monday.com, Notion, and/or Google Calendar will even do the job. The most important thing is that you create a routine that holds you accountable. Now, as time progresses, you may want to focus on one area more than another. So for example, right now, I'm focusing heavily on conversational practice over comprehension, grammar, and conjugation, but in the future that could change and I'll just tweak my diary accordingly. So there you have it, your ultimate study guide. If you enjoyed this video, go check out my other video where I teach you guys how to learn a language as an adult. Don't forget to like this video, share it, and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. I'll see you in the next one. Peace.